Def adjusted his shimmering cloak as the Rielt observation vessel emerged from hyperspace. Before him, the view screen filled with the image of a bustling solar system. Countless ships of human design flitted between planets and asteroid belts, their purposes as varied as their shapes. But Def's multifaceted eyes were drawn to a single point of light: Scovi, a dead world that pulsed with potential. "Recording initiated," Def murmured, his words activating the sophisticated devices woven into his cloak. As the youngest Rielt on the observation team, at a mere 7 human years old, Def felt the weight of responsibility keenly. The Rielt's entire purpose was to observe and record, and he would not fail in his duty. As the ship drew closer to Scovi, Def's mind wandered to the first contact between humans and Rielt, centuries ago by human reckoning, mere generations for his own kind. The memory, passed down through meticulous recordings, still sent shivers through his slight frame. The humans had appeared suddenly, their ships breaking every law of physics the Rielt thought they understood. The Rielt Council had convened, certain that this new species would need to be contained for the safety of the galaxy. They had sent their most advanced warships to confront the human fleet. 3 hours later, the Rielt surrendered unconditionally. It wasn't just the humans' technological superiority that had shocked the Rielt to their core. It was their adaptability, their creative problem-solving, their sheer audacity in the face of the unknown. The Rielt, with their short lifespans and rigid societal structures, simply couldn't compete. But then, the humans did something even more surprising: they offered peace. More than that, they offered partnership. All they asked in return was access to the vast repository of knowledge the Rielt had accumulated over millennia of observation. Approaching Scovi orbit, the ship's AI announced, snapping Def back to the present. He leaned forward, drinking in every detail of the barren world below. Scovi was a rock, utterly devoid of life, its surface scarred by countless impacts. Yet the space around it teemed with activity. Massive human ships hovered in precise formations around the planet. Some bore markings that Def recognized as terraforming vessels, while others were entirely new designs that defied his understanding. Swarms of smaller craft darted between them, their purposes a mystery. "Observation vessel Truthseeker, this is Scovi Control," a human voice crackled over the comm. "You are cleared for close orbit. Please maintain your designated flight path. And welcome to Project Rebirth." Def felt a surge of excitement. Project Rebirth. The humans had given their endeavor a name, which meant it was more than just idle experimentation. Whatever they were planning for Scovi, it was big. As the Truthseeker settled into its orbit, Def prepared his first official report. His cloak shimmed as it processed the vast amounts of data his senses were collecting, correlating it with known information and flagging anomalies for further investigation. "This is Rielt Observer Def, initiating preliminary report on human activity at planet designate Scovi," he began, his voice clear despite his growing excitement. "Humans have gathered a fleet of unprecedented size and variety. Terraforming equipment identified, but purpose unclear given Scovi's apparent unsuitability for colonization. Additional structures of unknown design suggest project scope beyond standard life-seeding protocols." Def paused, considering his next words carefully. In the Rielt tradition, speculation was discouraged in official reports. But something about this project, about the sheer scale of the human effort, demanded more. "Personal addendum," he continued, knowing this would be flagged for his supervisor's attention. "Humans have consistently defied Rielt expectations. Whatever they are planning for Scovi, I believe we are about to witness something that will once again revolutionize our understanding of what is possible." As he completed his report, Def's gaze was drawn back to the view screen. A massive human vessel was approaching Scovi, dwarfing even the largest terraforming ships. As it drew near, panels on its hull began to slide open, revealing a complex array of devices that Def couldn't even begin to comprehend. The human ship fired, not weapons, but a dazzling beam of energy that enveloped Scovi in a shimmering field. The dead world seemed to shudder, as if awakening from a long slumber. Def felt his own body tremble in response. He didn't know what the humans were doing, but he knew with certainty that he was witnessing the opening act of something truly momentous. "Oh, humans," he whispered, his voice filled with awe and just a touch of fear. "What wonders and terrors are you about to unleash upon the galaxy this time?" As if in answer, Scovi began to glow, the first sign of the incredible transformation to come. Def's multifaceted eyes struggled to process the transformation unfolding before him. In the span of what humans casually referred to as weeks, a blink of an eye for most spacefaring races, Scovi had gone from a lifeless rock to a world teeming with potential. Atmospheric composition approaching Earth standard norms, the Truthseeker's AI reported. Surface temperature rising. Hydrosphere formation at 37% and climbing. Def's cloak shimmered as it recorded every detail. The humans had started with the basics, melting the ice caps and introducing simple bacteria to begin oxygenating the atmosphere. But it was the speed and scale that left Def in awe. Massive orbital mirrors focused sunlight onto strategic points of the planet, while a network of satellites bombarded the surface with a carefully calibrated mix of elements and engineered microorganisms. Comets were redirected to impact specific areas, their water and organic compounds kick-starting the formation of oceans and the basis of a biosphere. "This defies all known models of planetary formation," Def muttered, his voice tinged with disbelief. "The energy requirements alone should make this impossible." As if in answer to his unspoken question, a human scientist appeared on the Truthseeker's communication screen. Dr. Ilara Murray, her name tag read, lead terraformer for Project Rebirth. "Enjoying the show, Observer Def?" she asked, a hint of pride in her voice. Def bowed slightly, a gesture of respect he had learned from human cultural databases. "It is, beyond anything the Realt have ever witnessed, Dr. Murray. How is this possible?" Murray's eyes lit up with the enthusiasm Def had come to associate with humans discussing their innovations. "We're tapping into the planet's core for energy," she explained. "Scovi has an unusually active molten core for a dead world. We're using that heat to power most of our operations." Def's mind reeled at the implications. Tapping a planet's core for energy? The risks involved were astronomical. One miscalculation could shatter the entire world. Yet the humans spoke of it as casually as discussing the weather. But that's not all, Murray continued, oblivious to Def's internal struggle to comprehend. "We're also using quantum entanglement to transfer matter and energy from other parts of the solar system. It's allowing us to reshape Scovi's entire geological structure in real time." Quantum entanglement on a planetary scale? Def made a mental note to flag this information for immediate transmission to the Realt High Council. If humans had mastered this technology, it would rewrite the balance of power in the galaxy overnight. As the days passed, Def watched in fascination as life took hold on Scovi. Vast oceans formed, their surfaces already teeming with engineered algae. Land masses shifted and rose, shaped by human will into optimal configurations for the ecosystems they planned to introduce. Other Realt observers arrived, drawn by Def's increasingly awe-struck reports. They huddled together in the Truthseeker's observation deck, their shimmering cloaks a stark contrast to the utilitarian human ships that now surrounded Scovi. "It's not natural," Elder Observer Lynn muttered, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of Realt wisdom. "Life should not be forced into existence like this. The humans are playing at being gods." Def turned to her, his young voice filled with excitement. "But isn't that what makes them so fascinating, Elder? They see limitations, and rather than accept them, they simply rewrite the rules." Before Lynn could respond, alarms blared throughout the Truthseeker. On the view screen, Scovi seemed to shudder, its newly formed oceans roiling with sudden turbulence. Unexpected tectonic activity detected, the ship's AI announced. "All observers, prepare for emergency departure." But as quickly as it had begun, the disturbance settled. Scovi once again appeared calm, though Def could swear the planet somehow looked different, more purposeful, if such a thing were possible for a world. Dr. Murray's face reappeared on the communication screen, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Apologies for the scare, observers. We've just successfully activated Scovi's core restructuring process. The planet is now, well, let's just say it's more than just a planet now." Def leaned forward, his entire being focused on Murray's next words. "What do you mean, Doctor? What is Scovi becoming?" Murray's smile was both thrilling and terrifying in its implications. That, my dear observer, is still classified. But trust me when I say, you ain't seen nothing yet. As the communication cut off, Def turned back to the view screen. Scovi hung there, a jewel of blue and green in swirling white clouds. It looked, for all intents and purposes, like a normal life-bearing world. But Def knew better. The humans had done something unprecedented, something that challenged the very definition of what a planet could be. And this, Def realized with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, was only the beginning. Def's cloak shimmered with constant activity as he struggled to record and analyze the flurry of changes happening on and around Scovi. It had been 3 human months since the terraforming process had seemingly completed, yet the planet was far from dormant. Massive structures had begun to sprout across Scovi's surface, their purpose a mystery that gnawed at Def's insatiable curiosity. Some resembled colossal engine assemblies, while others looked like planetary-scale shield generators. But it was the appearance of what could only be described as weapon systems that sent ripples of concern through the Rebirth observation team. "This goes beyond mere colonization," Elder Lynn muttered, her aged voice tinged with worry. "The humans are militarizing an entire world. But why? And against whom?" Def, whose youthful excitement had been tempered but not extinguished by the mounting questions, turned to his elder. "Perhaps we should simply ask them," he suggested. "The humans have always been surprisingly forthright with us." Lynn's multifaceted eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of Rebirth exasperation. "You still have much to learn, young one. Sometimes the act of asking is itself a diplomatic." She was cut off by a sudden alert from the Truth Seeker's communication system. Dr. Alara Murray's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Greetings, Rebirth observers," she began, her voice carrying a weight that immediately captured everyone's attention. "On behalf of the United Earth Government, I've been authorized to brief you on the true nature of Project Rebirth. What you're about to learn may be unsettling, but we trust in the strength of our alliance and in your species' commitment to objective observation." Def felt a thrill run through his small frame. Finally, answers. Dr. Murray took a deep breath before continuing. Project Rebirth was initially conceived as an experiment in planetary engineering. We wanted to see if we could not just terraform a world, but fundamentally alter its nature. In short, we set out to turn Scovi into a fully mobile, navigable planetary body. A collective gasp ran through the Rebirth observation deck. Def's mind reeled at the implications. A mobile planet? The energy requirements alone were beyond anything he could comprehend. However, Murray continued, her tone growing more serious, recent galactic developments have necessitated a change in the project's scope. I'm afraid I can't go into details, but there's a conflict brewing several galaxies away that threatens the stability of known space. In light of this, Scovi is being repurposed. The view screen shifted, showing a holographic representation of Scovi. As the Rebirth watched in stunned silence, the image began to change. Massive engines emerged from the southern pole. Weapon systems unfolded across the equator. A shimmering energy field enveloped the entire planet. "Observers," Murray said, her voice filled with a pride that sent shivers down Def's spine, "I present to you the U.S. Scovi, the first ever planetary-class warship." The silence that followed was profound. Def looked around at his fellow Rebirth, seeing his own shock and awe reflected in their postures. Elder Lynn seemed to have frozen entirely, her cloak not even shimmering with the usual recording activity. Def turned back to the view screen, his young voice quavering slightly as he asked, "Dr. Murray, how? How is this possible?" Murray's smile was both thrilling and terrifying. "That's a long answer." Observer Def. "The short version? We've essentially transformed Scovi's core into a massive quantum reactor. It provides nearly limitless energy while also allowing us to manipulate the planet's mass and gravitational field. This lets us move it through space and even enter hyperspace jumps." She paused, letting the information sink in. "As for the weaponry, well, when you have a power source the size of a planetary core, the possibilities are nearly endless." Def's mind was afire with questions, each more staggering than the last. The implications of this technology were beyond anything the Realt had ever encountered. It wasn't just a leap forward, it was a complete paradigm shift in what was thought possible. Dr. Murray Elder Lynn spoke up, her voice surprisingly steady. The Realt have observed many species over many millennia. We have seen great works and terrible weapons. But this is beyond anything in our records. You must understand the concern this will cause among the galactic community. Murray nodded solemnly. We do understand, Elder. That's why we're entrusting you with this information. Your records and observations will be crucial in helping other species understand that this is not an act of aggression, but one of necessary defense. As Murray began to detail the capabilities of the U.S. Scovi, Def found his gaze drawn back to the view screen showing the planet itself. It no longer looked like a natural world to him. Now, he could see the purpose in every mountain range, every ocean current. This wasn't just a transformed planet, it was a work of art, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. And as the enormity of what he was witnessing truly sank in, Def felt a new emotion blooming within him, one that he had never experienced in his young life: gratitude. Gratitude that his species had chosen alliance with humanity over conflict. For in that moment, watching a planet prepare to sail the stars as a defender of galactic peace, Def understood a fundamental truth. Humanity wasn't just reaching for the stars. They were reshaping the very fabric of the universe to suit their needs. And woe to any force that stood in their way. Def stood transfixed at the observation window of the Truth Seeker, his multifaceted eyes struggling to process the incredible spectacle before him. Scovi, once a barren rock and then a verdant world, was undergoing its final metamorphosis into something unprecedented in galactic history. Massive structures erupted from the planet's surface, dwarfing mountains and spanning continents. What had initially appeared to be terraforming equipment now revealed their true nature: colossal engine arrays, weapon systems of mind-boggling power, and shield generators capable of protecting an entire world. By the first observer, Elder Lynn whispered, her usual composure shattered by the sight. They've weaponized a planet. The humans have actually weaponized a planet. Def's cloak shimmered furiously, recording every detail of the transformation. He knew that what he was witnessing would be studied by Realt scholars for generations to come. If the Realt had generations left, that is. The scale of human advancement on display made their own civilization seem primitive by comparison. A holographic communication window materialized in the center of the observation deck. Dr. Alara Murray appeared, her expression a mix of pride and determination. Realt observers, she began, we're about to begin the final phase of Scovi's activation. For your safety, we recommend pulling back to a distance of at least 1 astronomical unit. Elder Lynn stepped forward, her voice quavering slightly. Dr. Murray, please. The Realt must understand. Why? Why create such a weapon? What threat could possibly warrant this level of overkill? Murray finished, a grim smile on her face. I wish I could tell you it was just an experiment, a proof of concept. But the truth is, we need this. Humanity has. We've learned of a threat, something ancient and terrifying, stirring in the dark spaces between galaxies. Something that consumes entire civilizations. Def felt a chill run through his small frame. He had assumed the weapon was for the war they'd mentioned before. But this sounded far worse. Murray continued, her voice taking on a tone of steely resolve. We're not just building a weapon, we're creating a mobile fortress for all sentient life in this sector of the galaxy. Scovi isn't just a warship, it's an ark, a refuge, and if necessary, our last line of defense. As if to punctuate her words, Scovi began to glow. Energy fields rippled across its surface, and for a moment Def could have sworn he saw the planet shrink slightly, as if compressing itself. It's beginning, Murray said. The quantum core is powering up. Scovi is about to break free from its orbit. What followed defied everything Def thought he understood about physics. Scovi, an entire planet, began to move, not in the slow, stately orbit of a celestial body, but with the purposeful acceleration of a starship. The planet's oceans remained calm, its atmosphere undisturbed by the impossible movement. Mountain ranges that should have crumbled under the strain stood firm. It was as if the normal laws of nature simply didn't apply to this new entity humans had created. How Def breathed, his young voice filled with awe. How is this possible? Murray's hologram turned to him, her eyes shining with the pride of a species that had accomplished the impossible. Inertial dampeners on a planetary scale, gravitational field manipulation, and a few other tricks we've been working on. Scovi isn't just moving through space, it's moving space around itself. Def's mind reeled. The implications were staggering. With this technology, humanity could reshape the very structure of the galaxy at will. As Scovi picked up speed, ready to make its first hyperspace jump, Def felt a profound shift in his understanding of the universe. The Rielt had always prided themselves on their role as observers, recorders of the great events of galactic history. But in this moment, watching a planet prepare to sail between the stars, Def realized a fundamental truth. They weren't just observing history. They were witnessing the dawn of a new era. An era where planets could be forged into starships, where the very fabric of space-time could be shaped by mortal hands. An era defined by human audacity and ingenuity. As Scovi vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a stunned silence in the Rielt observation deck, Def made a decision. His report to the Rielt High Council would not just be a dry recitation of facts. It would be a wake-up call, a declaration. The age of passive observation was over. If the Rielt, if any species, wanted to survive in this new galaxy that humanity was forging, they would need to adapt, to learn, to grow. And perhaps, Def thought as he began composing his report, it was time for the Rielt to do more than just observe. Perhaps it was time for them to join humanity on its grand adventure among the stars. For in the face of humanity's boundless ambition, the only choice was to evolve or be left behind in the cosmic dust. Def stood on the bridge of the U.S. Scovi, his small form dwarfed by the vast command center. Around him, humans worked at stations that controlled the systems of an entire planet. Through the massive view screen, he could see stars streaking by at impossible speeds as Scovi hurtled through hyperspace. He was one of a select few Rielt chosen to witness this historic maiden voyage. The honor was not lost on him, nor was the responsibility. His recordings would shape how the entire galaxy perceived this new era of human innovation. Preparing to exit hyperspace, announced Captain Yara Alvarez, her voice calm despite the momentous nature of the event. All hands brace for re-entry. Def's cloak shimmered in anticipation. He had experienced hyperspace travel before, but never like this, never as part of a planet. The star field on the view screen suddenly exploded into normal space. Scovi emerged into a system Def didn't recognize, its arrival heralded by a shockwave that rippled across space-time itself. Great Cosmos, Elder Lin breathed beside him. We've crossed half the galaxy in mere hours. Dr. Murray, now chief engineer of Scovi, grinned at the Rielt observers. Impressed? That was just a fraction of our top speed. With our quantum core, we could theoretically cross intergalactic distances in days. Def's mind boggled at the implications. Humanity hadn't just created a weapon or a ship. They'd revolutionized travel on a cosmic scale. Before he could formulate a response, alarms blared across the bridge. Captain Alvarez's expression hardened as she received a report from her tactical officer. Looks like we've got company, she announced. Unidentified vessels approaching. Their energy signatures match nothing in our databases. Def felt a chill run through him. Could this be the threat the humans had prepared for? He watched in awe as the bridge crew sprang into action, their movements precise and coordinated. Raising planetary shields, one officer called out, weapon systems online and charging. On the view screen, Def saw a swarm of ships approaching. They were vast, easily dwarfing most space stations he'd encountered. Yet compared to Scovi, they looked like gnats approaching a giant. This is Captain Yara Alvarez of the U.S. Scovi Alvarez broadcast. Unidentified vessels, state your intentions. The response came not in words, but in action. The alien fleet opened fire, a barrage of energy weapons that would have annihilated a normal planet. Scovi's shields flared, absorbing the assault without so much as a flicker. Def heard gasps of astonishment from his fellow Relt observers. Even knowing what Scovi was capable of, seeing it in action was another matter entirely. Captain Alvarez's expression was grim but determined. "So be it," she said quietly, before raising her voice to address her crew. "All batteries, return fire. Let's show them why you don't pick a fight with a planet." What followed was beyond anything Def could have imagined. Scovi's weapon systems activated, unleashing a hellstorm of firepower that turned space itself into a canvas of destruction. Beams of energy that could have split moons lashed out, carving through the alien ships like they were made of paper. Gravity weapons warped space around enemy vessels, crushing some and tearing others apart. Swarms of automated fighters poured from hangars the size of continents, overwhelming the alien point defenses. In minutes, it was over. The alien fleet, which had seemed so terrifying at first, was reduced to scattered debris floating in the void. As the bridge crew cheered, Def felt a complex mix of emotions: awe at the power he had witnessed, fear at the destructive potential, and a deep, profound respect for the humans who wielded such power with precision and purpose. That, Captain Alvarez said, turning to the Relt observers, was just a small demonstration of Scovi's capabilities, and a confirmation that the threat we prepared for is very real. Def stepped forward, his voice steady despite his inner turmoil. "Captain Dr. Murray, on behalf of the Relt, I must ask, what happens now? With this power, humanity could dominate the galaxy. How can other species trust that you won't abuse it?" Dr. Murray smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes. "That's precisely why we invited you here, Observer Def. We need the Relt to witness, to record, to tell the galaxy the truth. We built Scovi not to conquer, but to defend. The threat we face, it's bigger than humanity, bigger than any one species." Captain Alvarez nodded in agreement. Scovi isn't just a human achievement. It's a testament to what's possible when a species pushes beyond its limits. We hope it will inspire others, unite the galaxy in the face of a common threat. As Def absorbed their words, he realized that he was witnessing more than just a technological marvel. He was seeing the birth of a new galactic order, one where humanity stood as both protectors and pioneers. In that moment, Def made a decision that would change the course of Relt history. "Captain, Doctor," he said, his young voice filled with determination, "the Relt have always been observers. But perhaps it's time we became participants." He straightened to his full height, modest as it was. "If you'll have us, the Relt would be honored to join humanity in this grand endeavor, to learn, to grow, and to face whatever threats the universe holds, together." The smiles that greeted his words were warm and genuine. As plans were made and discussions begun, Def looked out at the starfield. Scovi had done more than sail across the galaxy. It had bridged the gap between species, between past and future. And as the great planetary ship prepared for its next journey, Def knew that the true voyage, the voyage of unity, discovery, and shared purpose was only just beginning. In the face of human ingenuity and determination, the universe itself seemed full of limitless possibility. And Def, young Relt observer turned galactic diplomat, couldn't wait to see what wonders lay ahead. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you loved it. Please remember to subscribe if you did like it so you can see more videos like this. And please give us a like and a comment too. I'll see you in the next one.